And then we had the Second World War, which, let me see here.
Because if you read the scientist journals, he explicitly states that it is 10 years after the Great War. The Great War in history is, of course, World War One.
Exactly. And so, as such, we had World War II.
Yes, there is reasoning behind this. We didn't just throw dates in.
Oh God, yeah. You guys have no idea. We
so
had
many nights staying up till 6 a.m. planning shit out on the whiteboard.
Oh my God, yeah. So I mean, the Second World War, where it actually ends, is 1906. Now, the events of 9 actually happened. Let me see here. But now, if you guys read or watch the Blu-ray commentary, Shane makes a note stating that when 9 is created, he doesn't wake up until 50 years later.
Because he actually says, basically that for 2's voice actor.
Yeah.
That, there hasn't been one in 50 years.
Yeah, and because of this killed us. We had a good bit of our timeline done by this point.
And we were like, Shane, why do you do this?
And we read that bit of information, we heard it, and it was like, fuck.
It was like, shut down.
So we had to go back and shove everything back to a reasonable time in which we still would be able to get this stuff done. And so, do we really have another question, or is that a reply? But, oh, yeah. Jesus, we got 2 questions. Okay, we could probably... Well, I guess we'll do one for each, because I don't want to...
Yeah, we'll do
Okay, so anyway, we had to push everything back, and the Second World War doesn't end until 1906. The events do not take place, the movie events do not take place in Rag & Bone until 1949, in which this point, you can tell history is pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
So anyway, we have the E-Punks. Since we're getting off topic again. The second crew, because she begged me to create my own crew. Now, granted, up until this point in time, I was taking on the task of the canon characters.
Oh, wait, we should probably go over the canon characters.
We do bring back the canon characters. Now, our theory of bringing them back is actually a rule. Anybody who's seen my YouTube or is in the Stitch Punk groups, you have probably seen 21 grams. 21 grams is pretty much the law that we wrote, along with the law of 3x3, that states explicit rules that you can and cannot do in order to resurrect any form of Stitch Punk machine, Chimera, but it mostly evolves for the Stitch Punks. And as such, we do bring back the original characters, but not without consequence.
Yeah.
So everything does have a consequence with it. So we do bring back the crew. It's not immediate, but it's kind of like one at a time, same way Eve created the Stitch Punks. And so I was in charge of the canon characters for a while. You had 9,
I had 9, 7, and 2.
And 2. I have 1... Which we fought over this so much.
She was like, I can't do old guys.
I can't do old guys.
Take 1 and 2. I can't do old guys.
I can't do bitchy.
And you do Hemingway so well. And I'm like, I can't do 1 that well. She pulls out 1, and 1 is freaking amazing. Like, he is such a jackass, and he's.
And I think it's because of all the trolls I've had in my life. I blame that.
He's such a jackass, but it's also, you will notice, it's sort of a little bit more laid back.
He's learned. Yeah. He's learned.
And part of this is, A, because of events happen in the movie, and B, because, I mean, if we figure after you've died and you've come back and you're living in an area that doesn't have the constant threat of machines,
you kind of lay back a little bit.
You loosen up just a little bit.
So, anyway, we do have the canon crew.
But he's still a jackass.
And we ran with that for a long time in the story until we actually had to go to a different...
1, 6, 8,
5.
5. I
have 5.
And 3 and 4.
Yeah, I have 5. And 3 and 4. Yeah. So, I ran with that for a while, and then in Rag & Bone, events take place to where we wind up having to relocate. And we really could... Yeah, temporarily. And so we wind up at one of her family old relatives' house in Wolfe County.
Yeah. We end up going to... now, Wolfe County is like Hillbilly Central. I love
forest, trees everywhere.
It's gorgeous, but it's so out in the sticks. It's ridiculously country.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's my mother's old house.
We're down there now. I want to tell you, there was no elaborate planning for this.
No, there wasn't.
This crew is pretty much the basis that I have whenever I do one of those things where you explain where does your inspiration come from, or subconsciously where does your inspiration come from. In the role play, we have an incident where 2 of the Stitch Punks spot 2 eyes under the bed. Red eyes. And most people identify that with machines. So, now granted, I'm the one in control of these red eyes, and I'm sitting here thinking, it's a machine. And
I'm gonna rape people's shit.
yeah, and I'm like, because I'm in charge of all the evil shit that happens. I have dreams about what the shit we should do to these characters. But, so Hannah comes bolting in after they're complaining, and these red eyes jump out. Something jumps out from under the bed. Hannah smashes it down with a broomstick, with the end of the broom. Suddenly, out of nowhere, I get this phenomenal idea. It happened in 2 seconds, guys, the minute the broom hit the floor.
Stomp on the little fucker.
Yeah, after this, she stomps a Stitch Punk into existence. I kid you not.
Because I stomp on the broom. All pissed off thinking it's a machine in the house.
And then, boom, I had a name, I had a character. I knew exactly what this guy was doing. I knew exactly what was going on. And later on, as we were role-playing with him, I realized I already have a backstory for this guy that I never knew about. And out comes 5 more characters. So this crew has a total of 6 characters, and it's Eaton's crew. Eaton's crew is kind of out there. Hannah was like,
I was like, really?
Yeah, but...
Now Bradbury loves them to death. It's kind of ridiculous.
And you guys have seen them. It's Jarek, Bedden, Crawford, Vic, Dabney, and Ward.
Now you may not have seen all of them.
You haven't seen all of them.
I haven't drawn Ward.
You have seen Bedden, Crawford, and Vic.
And
that's really
Jarek.
The extent. And some Jarek.
And Dabney, of course.
Yeah, and Dabney.
If anybody's seen that fucking adorable couple picture I have.
Yes. Anyway, Eaton's crew came about with World War III. They were actually created... I'm not going to give any of that away. Okay. But their profession kind of puts a new outlook on how the Stitch Punks came to be used in the Third World War, which is where we have the Chimeras and Hitler taking over the regime and all that fun stuff. So we have that 6.
The regime?
Yeah. The
regime.
I don't know why I'm thinking resume. And I'm like, oh, resume training at work. So anyway, I had knowledge and training today. Fuck. Anyway, so we have this crew of 6, not 9. It's only 6, and there's a legitimate reason as to why there's only 6. So we had those guys come about in the later World War III. Now I can't give away the creator, but their caretaker is actually at the time in the Royal Air Force in Britain. So these guys kind of carry on with the whole British accent sort of deal. It's not insanely noticeable, but it is noticeable. But so they're kind of taken care of by someone named Eaton, aka hence why we call him Eaton's crew. So then those guys are in the Third World War, so they're a little bit closer to the present. If you go back to where Eve Punks was created, we have the next set, which Hannah controls entirely. It is a set of, let's see, we have 6, 7, 8, we have 9 total for these guys.
Yeah.
But only 7 come into play at first. These guys are the Franz Punks. You guys have seen more than enough of these guys, which is saying something considering...
They've only seen...
Desi.
Desi, yeah, but that's only one picture.
Desi, and you posted Wagner, you posted Anton, you posted Elsa.
Well, I posted some rough sketches of the other guys, too.
Yeah, so, anyway, you can go ahead and explain the wonderful little clockmakers what they love!
The Franz Punks. I was not intending on making another set at this point in time.
We were done. We were
I was
so
like,
done.
we have so many characters, we can't keep doing this. Oh God! But I sat down one evening and I was doodling Stitch Punk ideas. So I was like, I just want to do some design work.
These guys are nightmares simply because these are the guys that she jumps out of bed in the middle of the night and starts drawing or doodling or talking about.
So it all started, and I can tell you exactly where this all started from. I was doodling up some designs, and I was actually going for Animal Punks. I don't know where I got these guys from Animal Punks, but I was making ones that look like animals. And one of them I drew had a turtle shell, and he looked really derp. And I was like, this is stupid. So I scratched it out, and I started drawing another guy. And then Klaus just kind of popped up. And Klaus Klaus started the whole thing. He's this little derpa looking dude, and he's got a little pot belly, and he's got his little headband, his little vest, and I was like, he has a profession. I know he does, because the way he looks, I was like, he has to have some sort of job.
And at first he was like,
first he was going to be an accountant. Yes, Stitch Punk accountants, because I went there. No, nobody else has gone there before. No, but I love the concept of clocks. Me and her love old school stuff.
Oh my god, I love clocks.
All I could think of was, I was like, I really want to do something antique and old and have this old world feel to it. So,
and she had to give me more reason to squeal and delight.
After I started working on them, I was like, clocks. They can work on clocks. And I was like, this is a perfect concept because they're small. They can actually
work inside the clock.
And inside the clock, I was like, that would be genius. So I started sketching this whole crew, and I'm like, fuck, I have a whole crew. Let's see. We're introduced to them by their caretaker because, again, they're not with their original creator because they were created at the same time as the E-Punks. These guys are inherited. Now,
yeah, you have to understand, in addition to the insane grief we put up with the timeline, we had to make sure there is a reason as to why other people can make Stitch Punks. Our reasoning came from the scientists. We sat the hell down and we charted out the entire genealogy trees for every human character we have to make sure everything is in place.
And basically, the great-grandfather of one of our human characters created the Franz Punks, and his name is Franz Schultz. And he created them initially. He knew the scientists. Their shops were next to each other back when the scientist, if you guys remember from the scientist journals, he was a toy maker before the war. Franz had a shop next to him where he did clocks, and they actually worked together in some cases because clockwork toys were a big thing at this point in time, so they worked together on, certain kinds of toys. Well, you might as well give up. This is going to take
No, it's good. We're good. We're only 26 minutes in.
But basically, Franz actually, I think I can give away why Franz created them. That's not
that's fine.
Okay, but basically, Franz was hitting hard times with his business, and he knew the war was coming, and he'd gotten letters of exchange back and forth with Diedrich. So he sat down and decided, he said that this can help me. Now, Franz had a misconstrued concept of what would happen if he made these guys. He thought that he would be getting the traditional concept of a homunculus, which is essentially a slave. It doesn't have emotions and thoughts and things. It just does what it's told to do. He was wrong. So he sits down. Franz is a very efficient man. He sits down in one night and makes 7 in one go.
Which is pushing it pretty hard.
He didn't exactly understand the full extent of the rules. But yeah, he made 7 in one shot, and it did take a toll on his health. Now, these guys, as a result, he now has 7 workers for his shop. Which is great and all, except for the fact that he was expecting something that doesn't have emotions or thoughts or feelings. When he realized they did have emotions and thoughts and feelings, Franz had a big problem. It wasn't really a problem with them themselves. It was a religious issue. Franz is very religious. And the concept of having created life and played God really bothered him and really played with his emotions a lot. And because of this, he was actually asked by one of the characters at some point in time if he was their father, and they say, he says, no, God is your father technically, because he basically goes on about how we're all God's children.
And Desi made a joke when I commissioned the Franz Punks. She had always wanted to do a line of the characters, and I was like, this is an awesome Christmas gift. So I told Desi, I want you to draw out the Franz Punks, and he did. He did it very well. And the ongoing joke between Desi and Pemmy, the twins, and us, it was the Last Supper, and it makes a lot of sense because these are the guys that are kind of freaking religious in a sense. They were brought up in religion.
So basically, Franz had told them, you're all children of God. The problem with this is that they can use logic. So it basically somebody made the question because they were like, well, how do you say this? And it's just because technically we're all created by God. And he goes, but you created us.